Hello, crafty friends. Welcome to my channel. I am very excited to be a guest designer for Pixie Dust Designs today, and I have some products from their latest release. So I'm going to show you what's on my craft table, and then we'll get into the card projects. First up is their pad of patterned paper, and these are all dog themed. This is called Puppy Love. I'll flip through the pad in just a minute, but let me show you this adorable stamp set. This one is just called Woof, and you get these cute puppy images, some great sentiments, and some little coordinating images like the paw print and the bone and the dog food bowl. This pack of dies is called Rough Day Tags, and can I just say how much I love these purple dies. I've never seen purple dies before, but not only are they easy to find if you lose them on your messy desk, if you have a messy desk like I do, but they are very aesthetically pleasing. I'm going to save this clever set of dies for another video, but what I'm going to focus on today is this set of dies. It's called A Dog Life. These dies create the cutest dog house, among other things. I've never had a set like this in my stash before. On the back of the packaging, it shows you all the things you can create with these dies. But for my first card today, I'm focusing on that adorable little layering dog house set of dies. Let me give you a closer look at the pattern paper now. I'll pull out my utility knife and cut open the seal. This pattern paper is very nice and heavyweight, and it does have a bit of a sheen to it. So let me flip through some of these designs. You get 24 sheets and there are 12 designs. And I kind of used the colors in this pattern paper to inspire the color themes for my cards today. I love those polka dots and the dog bones on the opposite page. And I always love a pretty stripe. But these are just some fun, bright designs for your cards. This brown piece of pattern paper with the polka dots on it is one of my favorites, so I am going to use that on one of my cards. And then after this, it starts repeating. You also get some cutouts, cut-aparts on the back page. And they're great if you need to make up a quick card. On card number 1, I'm going to pull out this layering doghouse set of dies. And I also love these dies because you don't have to cut them apart. I think that's fabulous. This is a rather large piece here, so I'm just being careful not to bend it. And there are several pieces to it. Here is the roof. And this little piece is also a part of the roof, and I love that it has a bone in the middle that it will die cut. And then this is the inside of the doghouse. I chose my pattern paper, and it's this cute piece of blue and white polka dot. But first, I'm going to put together the doghouse. I cut most of the pieces out with some heavyweight white cardstock. And then look at this adorable dog bowl. It cuts out a slit so you can put one of the bones in there. And then this piece right here will go behind the doghouse. And the doghouse has some lines embossed into it so that it looks like wood planks. Before I start adhering these together, though, I am going to add some shading with some gray ink. I'm starting with a light gray first. I'm just going to do the sides and the bottom of the doghouse. I'm not going to cover the whole doghouse with this gray because I want the doghouse to look white, but I just wanted a little bit of shading around it. I decided to pull in a little bit of a darker gray. This wasn't dark enough. I like my shading to really pop. And then after this, I come in with a black Distress Oxide ink just to sharpen up those edges and to make it really look dark. And I'm just barely touching the edges of the die cut piece with this. Next, I'm going to add some shading to the dog bowl. Since this is already red, I'm bringing in a really dark red. The die also cuts out this little paw print. And that's just such a fun detail because you can put whatever color of pattern paper or cardstock behind that, make it really stand out. I'm adding aged mahogany distress oxide ink to the edges. Add some shading. And then I'm going to put a little piece of white cardstock behind the bowl so that you can really see the paw print. There are 2 more pieces to this dog bowl, but I didn't realize they went to this dog bowl until after I finished the card. So next time I'm going to have to use all of the coordinating pieces. I'm going to glue down the roof next. And then this little piece with the dog bone cut out. I do change my mind on this a little bit later and add a red die cut over this. For the background, I used a grass die cut to cut this green piece out. And then the blue polka dots are going to be the sky behind the doghouse. There's a really cute grass die in the Pixie Dust Design Shop, but this is what I had on hand, so I'm just using this old die that I've had forever. Now I have my scene ready to go, and I can start gluing down the doghouse. So this dark gray piece will go behind the doghouse. This will just make it look like it's dark inside. And then the doghouse I'm going to pop up with some foam squares to add a little bit of dimension. And you can see how perfectly this fits on an A2 sized card. I'm putting a little dab of glue behind the bone so that it stays where I want it to in the dog bowl. And then I'll pop this up so it's the same height as the doghouse. And I'll put this down at the right side of the doghouse, a little more in front. Right there. And now to decide what dog I want to put in the doghouse. I wasn't sure which one I wanted to use. So I'm pulling out the stamp set and I just wanted to see what they would look like. And they're all really cute, but I just love that one with the little dog and the giant bone in front of him. So I'm going to stamp out this dog with some Copic-friendly ink. I'm going to stamp out the sentiment while I'm at it. And the sentiment I chose says, "Have a pawsome day." It has a little heart in place of the O in pawsome. And this is where I decided to change the roof of the doghouse a little bit with some red cardstock. I'm adding some aged mahogany for shading. And I wanted to add a little of the gray shading under the eaves of the house. This patch of gray will be covered up, so I'm not too worried about that. I'll glue this down with some more liquid glue. You can see there's a little shading now under the red roof. I'm going to add another roof line on top. I didn't like how the aged mahogany looked on that, so I just want it to be the bright red cardstock. And then I'm going to glue a white bone inside. So I did all of my coloring off camera for the sake of time, but I colored the dog in with Copic markers, and then I fussy cut him out, and here he is all done. Isn't he adorable? Added a little bit of shading to the bone that he's sitting on as well. I'm going to pop him up with some foam and stick him right in the doorway. This is such a fun set to play with because there's so much you can do with it. And then the sentiment I'm going to glue down at the top left. It just looked better there to me. Now I can glue this panel onto a top folding landscape card base. I'll use more liquid glue for this. And as you can see, I added a few enamel dots around the panel. Let me give you a close-up look at card number 1. I also decorated the inside with just a little bit of the leftover pattern paper. And now on to card number 2. This one's a pretty quick one to put together. I used one of the cut-aparts from the pack of pattern paper, and I cut out that cute little doghouse that you see at the top left. And then I had to use this striped pattern paper. I attached it to a piece of red cardstock, and then I'll go ahead and center this on my white card base leaving a white border around it. I cut out my sentiment from A Dog's Life set of dies, and it says Friends Forever. I cut that out with some black cardstock. I wanted it to be a speech bubble, so I'm going to glue it down to a piece of white cardstock. And I didn't have any speech bubble dies in my stash, so I'm going to make my own. And it's very easy to do. So once I have my sentiment adhered, I'll use a pencil to draw in my own speech bubble. It's going to look more cloud-like because the puppy in the image is sleeping. And then once I have an idea of where I want to cut, I'll use my scissors to fussy cut this out. I didn't follow the lines 100%, but that's okay. I just needed a general idea. And then I do come in with an eraser and erase my lines so my sentiment is nice and clean. I popped up this image with some foam tape. And now I can glue down the sentiment. And this is just going down flat. I glued down some little white dots under the speech bubble. But I decided to change those out for some blue enamel dots. I'm using 3 different sizes. This just popped more off of the front of the card. I'll use the smallest dot at the bottom and the largest dot up at the top. Let me give you a close-up look at this quick and easy card. And here is a look at the inside. I have a cute little dog treat jar, and I used more pattern paper. For my last card, I had to dig in to the rough day tags set because I wanted this little die right there to cut out one of my sentiments. So I'm going to cut out the sentiment that says, "Have a Pawsome day again." This would be a really great sentiment for a birthday card if you added happy birthday over it. But I'm going to stamp it out this time with some VersaFine Onyx Black ink. This is a nice dark ink. And then I'll use the border die to cut this out. And the sentiments are just the perfect size for these little borders. So on this card, I'm using the brown pattern paper with the polka dots, and I'll attach that to a piece of blue cardstock. I found the closest blue that matched the polka dots on this pattern paper. And then I can attach this to another top folding white card base. You can see all of the paws that I have die cut already up at the top left. And I'm just going to cover this panel with these cute little paw prints. These paw prints have 2 dies to them, so you cut out the paw print and then another piece to put behind them if you'd like. So I'm going to pop up the sentiment, and then I can just start gluing down all of these paw prints that match the polka dots on this piece of pattern paper. I'm going to add a few red enamel dots across this panel. And then I decide to come in with some of the smaller bone die cuts and add those in between the paws. It just looks positively adorable when I'm done. Here's a close-up look at card number 3. I'll be back again really soon with another video using these fun products. Here's a peek at the inside. That's another cut apart that I used. All of the links will be listed in the description box below if you want to check these out. Thanks so much for watching, everyone. I hope you have a pawsome day. Take care. Bye.